Hello, hello, hello. I'm back. As always, giving all glory, honor, and praise to the wonderful Lord above for allowing me to see another day. Today, I'm actually just talking. I'm literally just talking. It's so many things that I wanted to, like say, and I don't really have the slides, per se to do so. So I'm just gonna be talking. You know what I'm saying? Throw out a few scriptures here and there, but for the most part, this is just me talking about some of the things that I have observed, being the age that I am in the 40 club. I'm happy to be in the 40 club. Praise God that I'm still here. There was a time in my life that I didn't even think that I was going to see 20, to be completely honest with you. So it is a blessing, a bonus. I am lucky, to still be here in front of you, even having this discussion. And with that being said, that's basically going to start off, this particular topic. um I just coined it truth, because this is my truth. This is the truth that I have found, and I just want to impart some of that. Hopefully it'll help somebody. If not, it ain't gonna hurt you. I can tell you that much. So with that, here we go. But I want to say this: I am not a prophetess. I am not an evangelist. I am not a deaconess. None of those things. Okay. I don't possess any supernatural abilities, any supernatural knowledge, any supernatural anything. Everything that I am discussing, it is because I am a theology student, as well as I teach. So with that being said, please don't try to put any of those weird titles on me, because they don't hold true to me. You won't offend me, but I'm just saying, from my perspective, I'm none of those things. Okay. All right. So anyway, true. All right. So I'll just let you know, when I was younger, I was rebellious to the max. Okay. I did all the things that I was not supposed to do. Okay. I used to run the streets. I used to run away from home. I have been in the system. I have been in foster care. I have been in juvenile. I have been to jail. You name it, I've been there. Not for anything, wild, anything like that. But I think I had a charge one time. They used to call it being unruly. Because I just rebel. I was just rebellious. I was just totally rebellious. Um, and so, with that being said, my poor parent, because I was primarily raised by my mom. Okay. My poor parent, she got took through it, by me. Primarily, she was trying to figure out life also. So both of us were just stumbling and bumbling through life and just missing each other, and it was just chaotic, my growing up. But I say that to say this: I thank the Lord that I did not, lose my life with all the shenanigans, with all of the mischief that I found myself in. I used to be in and out of, the different, we used to call them, dope dealer houses, and, some bootlegger houses, and, all of that stuff. I used to just be all over the place. So with that being said, when I come here and I'm talking about God and scriptures and truths and principles and things of that nature, it's because I have lived, that life before. I at one point in time when I was younger, I was about that life 100%. Okay. And I can remember thinking to myself, I didn't care whether I lived or died. My attitude was so bad, to where I actually expected not to make it to age 20. That's why I'm saying it is a bonus, and it's amazing to me that I'm still here to even say I'm in the 40 club, okay, for one. So that in itself is a miracle, praise God. Okay, but two, um, along the way, I always knew that there was a God. You understand? I always had foundational truth that I myself believe. It wasn't necessarily taught, because, like I said, my family was trying to figure it out as well. So we always, seeing each other out here in the streets periodically. We have all kind of went through our own struggles. I'll just say it like that. And I just praise God that we are still here. So basically, but I can remember when I was younger, I used to read the Bible. I did. I did not understand a whole lot of it, but I knew one or two or three truths that I still know, to this day. And I've just expounded on that. I've always believed that there was a God. I always believed in Jesus. I always believed in, he had a will, he had a purpose for us. Those three things I have always believed, just from what I understood for the little bit of reading that I used to do when I was younger. Okay. So, with that being said, I can just tell you the choices that I made as a youth were simply because of what my wants, a little bit of my environment, but most of it was like what I wanted to do. You understand? So I can't fault nobody but myself. It was not. I can't say it's my mom's fault. I can't say it's nobody's fault, really, honestly, ultimately, but myself. I have to take responsibility for some of the things. Some things you just can't help, but at the same time, I also had a part in a lot of the things that happen in my life. So I just say that. Okay. So anyway, God knows. So anyway, my point is this. um I feel so lucky, because even though I knew all of those truths, and even though I was rebelling and things of that nature, I still, was curious about, how God would view the things that I were doing, and that would make me feel shame and guilt. And so when people, let's just say people in my family, because my grandmother was always religious, you know what I'm saying? And, she always believed in righteousness. Okay. So whenever my grandmother would come around, or whatever the case may be, I would instantly feel shame. I would instantly, try to like hide and, try to not engage her, because I already knew that she was going to bring Jesus. I already knew that. That's just the type of grandmama that I had, and I didn't believe, as hard as she did. I did not believe, as faithful as she did. I believe, like I said, I believe the three truths. I just did not, I'm saying, apply it, to my life. I still was having a rebellious streak, and I was just doing pretty much what I wanted to do. Okay. So, anybody for that matter, because it could have been my grandmama, it could have been cousins, aunties, things of that nature. Anybody who would come and try to like, tell me the right way, I would run from it. And reason being, now I get it, is because they will hold up a mirror in front of my face. When they was talking about Jesus and whatnot, they were showing me what I looked like in comparison to it, and I didn't add up. And so therefore I didn't want to see that part of me, that failure of me, because I was lacking a lot of the things that I should have, at that point, for somebody who understands that there's a God. So therefore it wasn't personal, is what I'm trying to say. When I ran from my grandmother and ran from others who were trying to tell me the right things to do, it wasn't because I'm like, oh, I hate my grandmama, oh, I hate them. It was because I hated myself. Honestly, I hated, the way that I was. I knew that it wasn't right, and that's the thing. People have to be honest with themselves. They have to understand there's a reason why, you're acting the way you're acting, that you are, I'm saying the things that you're saying and doing the things that you're doing, whether that is because you have not healed or something, or you don't understand something is confusing to you, whatever the case may be. We cannot justify, hurting and continuing, that particular pattern. And that's basically like the gist of what I'm trying to say today. Um, a lot of the things that I did, that I inflicted on others, stuff like that, is because of my inner wounds, my inner, confusion, my inner hatred. Okay. So I caused a lot of heartache and heartbreak in my wake, of trying to figure out, who I am and what I stand for, etc. Again, I'm just thankful that I live, because a lot of people that I used to run the streets with are no longer here. Okay. They didn't get the chance to even become an adult. Okay. So, that's one to ponder as well, because that's something that you have to square with, a lot. If you find yourself, like me, if you had some people, compadres, what have you, that didn't even make it, what I'm saying? And so this should help us to understand the gratitude, and the gravity of the situation. Life is short. Okay. We're not guaranteed, to be here the next day. We are not guaranteed to make it to be grown. We are not guaranteed to make it to be old. So knowing that life is so short, and shorter for some others, you understand? Because this could be my last message. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? It just depends. I have to live my life now in a way to where I'm ready at all times. You know what I'm saying? Because if I would have been taken back then, there's no doubt in my mind, in my heart, in my soul, I would not have made, or I wouldn't have stood a chance of trying to go to heaven. You know, I was totally kidding myself, thinking that, the way I used to live, that God was going to consider, the choices that I made and feel pity, because, oh, I didn't have this upbringing, or I didn't have that upbringing, et cetera, et cetera. And he was going to give me a pass and say, okay, you can come on in. I know better now. But I used to live my life that way, thinking, that, oh, well, God knows my heart, and, God is just going to show me some pity. He's so loving. He's so kind. He's this and that and that. And there's no way he would send me to hell. That's what Satan wants you to think. He wants you to think that God does not demand justice, that there's not a just side to God. He just wants you to think that God is just all loving, forgiving, and mushy and smushy, and he's just going to overlook or turn a blind eye. That ain't the God that I know. And that's what I'm trying to help people to understand. So my thought process back then was all wrong. And so if you find yourself in that same thought process, please take the heed, the warning. That is not the right way to look at it. Now that I'm older, now that I'm wiser, now that I'm more mature in the faith, now that I have done the research, now that I've done my homework, I know for a fact that is not God that we serve. The God that we serve, the only God that there is, he does not take excuses. He does not do a checks and balances system on the scales and say, oh, you did more good than bad. He don't do that. God said he's going to judge us according to the book. And that whole Bible, the book, the oracles of God, it talks about this very same subject. And so that's basically what I wanted to, have a just a conversation about. I can't tell you how many people that now that I have given my life over to the Lord, because it was really as simple as making a decision to stop doing the things that I was doing. Stop drinking, stop smoking, stop hanging out, stop partying, stop clubbing, stop stealing, I'm saying? Stop lying, stop cheating, all of those things. I individually, one by one, stopped doing them, to try to make myself better, to try to make myself, more righteous, to get closer to God. The closer to God that you become, the further away you wander away from the world. And so then you become that ecclesia, that called out people that God is wanting us to be. And then you understand your purpose. You understand where you come from, your origins, why you're here, your mission. You understand God's will for your life and why why you're still here. Okay. Those of us that are still here, we have a purpose. We have a job to do, if you want to look at it like that. So once you start to make up in your heart, that you want to be pleasing to God, that's the first step, of gaining your wisdom. You know what I'm saying? Because those are the proper ways to look at God. We must reverence him, to understand we are supposed to be coming towards him, not him come towards us, because we are down here. He sits up high. So we have to try to rise above, in order to get closer to him, not the other way around. Because if he came down, that would lower his majesty. Okay. So that's something that we need to understand too. But I digress. So back to the situation at hand. I have encountered all types of people in every walk, and by no means is this a shame fest. Okay. This is really just a wake up call. All right. I have encountered so many people who say that they are, gods, who say that they love God, who say, that they work for God. But then when I, get to comparing some of the things that, they're doing, it doesn't add up. So here's another thing that I want people to understand and look out for. Actually, everybody who says that they are of God is not. There's no way. Period. People who say out their mouth that they're God, but in their life they do the opposite, God calls that a hypocrite. Okay. So I can't tell you how many people that I have come across who say that they have either been hurt, scarred, unwelcomed, shamed, whatever, by a so-called Christian. Okay. And it hurts my heart, because again, what it does is it puts dirt on God's name. You know what I'm saying? It's not personal to me per se, but it hurts God when people profess, that they are his, and then they do the opposite, because basically all they're doing is leaving heartache and heartbreak, and they're turning people, they're deterring. I would say that. I can't say that they're turning them away, because it's an individual walk, and if a person makes you turn away from God, then you weren't loyal to begin with, and you wasn't serious about pursuing God. Because I'm gonna tell you this, that's another excuse that I hear a whole lot. I hear people saying, oh, I used to read my Bible, or I used to be interested in the Lord, and this and that. But when I look at my family members who say that they are Christians, they still drink, they still smoke, they still do this, da 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 da. Okay, and I'm thinking to myself, like, and what does that have to do with you? That's their decision. Why should their decision keep you from God? That's my question. Because I'm gonna tell you the truth, nothing can keep me from God, especially if it's another individual. No, this is a personal relationship, people. This is a personal walk. That this is so personal. It is more important than me and my mom. Okay, I love my mom with everything I got. Okay, but she don't come before God. Okay, let me say that. I love my mom. Matter of fact, I might have her up here pretty soon if she can get a free moment. Sally Walker is my mom. Okay, and I love her dearly. But even she does not come before God. I love myself, and I don't even come before God. Okay, so nothing that anybody else can do would make me turn my back on the Lord. And if you turn your back on the Lord because of what somebody else said or did or hurt your feelings or whatever the case may be, then it wasn't the Lord that you were seeking, honey. Because nothing should keep you away from God if that is really your decision. See, that's the thing. Once you actually make up your decision, I ain't talking about half-heartedly. Oh, if the people welcome me, then I'm gonna come on in. That's not a decision. Cause you still around the fence. That's a if. That's a maybe. Let me help you to shatter that little thought process. And you ain't fooling God. God already knows before you set foot, in that quote unquote building, because that's all it is a building. Before you go in there with your high expectations, that these Christians is supposed to be holier than thou, and they don't make mistakes, and they supposed to welcome you. I need you to shatter that little fictitious thinking, because that's what it is. It's a fairy tale. You can't have expectations on how people are going to act, receive you, treat you. You're not psychic, neither am I. Okay. you know Another person's decision should not affect you. The only person's decisions that should affect you are your own. So again, that's a cop out, and I'm just here to tell you that is a cop out. So when people be walking around talking about, oh, them church folks, they worse than da 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 da. That's a blanket statement for one. For two, let me stop right there. That's a blanket statement. That is the same as saying all black folks do this, all white folks do that, all Democrats do this, all Republicans do that. That ain't true. So don't even let that come out your mouth, because not all Christians do XYZ. Not all black folks do XYZ. Not all white folks do XYZ, etc., etc., etc. Okay? So no, you can't say that, because there are some genuine Christians, who will tell you, hey, I might even hurt your feelings, boo. But I promise you, if you tell me, I'm gonna repent about that, and I'm gonna try to make it right. Because I'm gonna tell you this too. It's a lot of people that's gonna let you down, because they humans. So if you come in, trying to put other expectations on people, you setting yourself up for failure. The only thing you can expect is how you gonna act, what you gonna do. That's it. You cannot have expectations for nobody else. And let me just help y'all with relationships, because see that also applies to relationships. So all of you younger ladies, who are, maybe not in the 40 club, let me just help you, with your relationships too. This is not a one size fits all. This is just, from my experience. Let me just try to help you. Any relationship that you're gonna have, whether it be a relationship with another individual, a friendship, relationship with your family members, whatever the case is going to be, you cannot have expectations for that other person. You can only have expectations for yourself. Because if you expect people to act like you want them to act, you're going to be hurt. You're going to be real hurt. And you're going to be real sad and crushed. And then, that's going to dissolve that little bit right there before it even gets started. So, we can't do that to, the relationship with God. We can't do that. And especially with people that's like you. People that come to the church, they need help too. They're coming to get, fed so that they can clean up their mess, because everybody got a mess. Everybody does. I don't care who you are. If you're a human being, you make mistakes. You are a sinner. Okay. I am a sinner. I'm just a recovering sinner. That's all. That don't mean I don't sin. That just means that I'm looking out, for the things that trigger me and that could cause me to fall. And I'm trying to stay away from those things. That's it. But I still make mistakes. I'm going to make mistakes until I leave here. But the difference between the sinner Christian and the sinner who is not a Christian is the fact that I got God and I have Jesus's blood that continuously cleanses me and makes me look presentable before God. So therefore, if I leave here, or when I leave here rather, those sins are not on me. So anyway, back to what I was saying. It's weird to me when I hear people say that, that somebody else hindered them, from God. All right, so that's one thing I want to say about that. Another thing is this. I have heard so many people say, God ain't, when I needed God the most, he wasn't there. Or, what I'm saying, they'll say, oh, he let so-and-so die. He let Pookie die. Or, or, I didn't get the job. Or, God ain't never did nothing for me, etc., etc., etc. And I just, my heart go out to you. And again, this is not an attack or condescending or anything like that. But this is what I want to, maybe help you with. It's all about perspective. Okay. Those of us who know God, they understand that God doesn't work for us. Okay. So let me just try to help you to understand God's role, God's job, with his majesty. God is a king. Okay. You cannot expect, okay, let me help you maybe on a human level for those of you that don't know God. You can have expectation for the president all day long. But that's not going to change one thing, one single thing, nothing. You can say, oh, I expect the president to come and fix me dinner. You'll be waiting for the rest of your life. Okay. Because your expectations are not realistic. They are not. If you expect the president to personally come and serve you and be your butler and come at your beckoning call and keep you out of danger with his CIA and feds and military, then baby, your expectations, I ain't gonna say fairy tale, but I'm gonna say, they're out of this world. That they're not realistic, is what I'm trying to say. So we hurt ourselves when we put false expectations on others, including God. Okay, God is in his majesty. He's fine. Understand that. We're the ones, that need him, not the other way around. He don't need us. Okay. So if I sit here and I say, okay, my life is supposed to be like XYZ, and then it's not that way, and now I'm mad at God, then you really are wasting your time. You know what I'm saying? Because see, God made us for his purpose, not our purpose. We have this expectation, this false expectation that our lives are supposed to be like fairy tales. They're supposed to be good. Oh, happy endings, da 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 da. We triumph and defeat every, da 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 da, and blah. Life is not like that, because our adversary is going to make sure that your life is hard. Okay, the true test, the true reason, the true meaning of life is to withstand the test and prove to God that we will be loyal and obedient no matter what. No matter if we're homeless, by ourselves, hungry, no matter the situation. That's kind of like, the military. When the military has a mission, okay, sometimes them soldiers will tell you out there on the battlefield, they was hungry, they were tired, they were sleepy, they were scared. Sometimes they were lonely, you know what I'm saying? Because not all of them were together, like they would have liked to be. Sometimes they have to be spread out. Sometimes it's an individual mission. But their feelings and wants and all that stuff don't matter for the greater good. The greater good is to fulfill the mission at hand and then come back, and get your rest. It's the same for us. Humans, our mission is to live on this life, live amongst the world, spread God's truth and message, and then go back to God. That is the purpose of life, to defeat the devil, our adversary. We are like soldiers. That's why so many people say, oh, I'm a soldier in the army of the Lord. Do you really understand what that means? Because a soldier, a lot of times, you might be cold, you might be destitute, you might be hungry, you might be lonely, you might be heartbroken. But the mission goes on. You must complete the mission. So, for all of the people who give up in the middle of the mission, and they say, oh, wow, because the Lord didn't, he didn't come get me when I was tired and when I was cold, and, he didn't save my friend and all of that stuff right there. You just giving up. That's all. I mean, honestly, you are not loyal. You are proving to God that you are not loyal. And unfortunately, God has said the people who are not loyal to him, they can't come to heaven. They can't come back. So we gotta understand the mission here, the goal. If we are going to serve God and we're going to surrender to his will, then we have to abandon our will, our wants, and we have to put God first, his wants, his will. Okay, maybe his will is for you to be alone. Maybe his will is for you to be, destitute sometimes, so that you can be stronger and be strengthened. The Bible talks about how he allows certain things to happen, to build our muscle, to build our character, to build our heart. Unfortunately, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be a lot of y'all that won't agree with me when I say this, but the truth is the truth. A lot of the time, we can't hear God unless we are hurting, or going through some things. A lot of the time when we happy and things are good, God is the furthest thing from our mind. Amen. But when we sad, when we mad, when we going through some things and we don't understand what's going on, then we like, okay, send me some help, Lord. Talk to me, Lord. Tell me something, Lord. I can hear you, Lord. So unfortunately, as humans, we hear God the loudest when we're going through some things. I'm not saying that that's, the only reason, but I'm just saying there's another way to look at it. Okay. Another thing that I want to talk about basically is going to be about obedience. Okay. If we're going to obey God, that don't mean obey him a little bit. Still do what I want to do over here every now and then. Flip the script when I'm mad and think that God just gonna understand that, because he's not. Once you know better, which all adults know better, okay? Once you know better and you don't do better, then that's strictly disobedience. There's no other way to call it. There's nothing else nice to say that it's okay, because it's not okay. It's not. That's bad. In God's eyes, when you don't obey, he is keeping a tally. Them sins is racking up, and God never forgets. You'll forget. but God won't. So God never sleeps. Okay. God don't need to eat. He watches us all the time. He knows our inner thoughts before we even uh, make that sin, do that sin, commit that sin. He already knows what you was thinking. There's no oops when it comes down to God, because he heard you plotting it before you did it. He knows the things that we lust about. He knows the things that we, long for and desire. Okay. He knows all of that. The inner work is nothing is hidden from God. And I think that people forget this. Matter of fact, I know that they do. Because I can remember when I was out there in the streets, I would forget that too. I would think, oh, just because I got by on people, that God had turned a blind eye on something. He does not. You may get away with it with people, but you will never get away with it from God. Okay, so let's keep that in mind. Um, let's see here because I wrote down a few things. Another thing I want to talk about too is responsibility. Okay, we got to take accountability, responsibility for our actions. So many people are not honest with themselves. You understand? So many people lie to themselves on a regular basis. So many people tell themselves they're okay and they're not. So many people say, that, oh, I did this to try to justify. You can't justify wrong. You can't justify sin, period. But some people think that they can. With God, you cannot. And this is what I'm trying to help people to understand. Because this is something that I had to understand. I had to realize a lot of the situations that I was in was because of me, my choices. I had a really, really bad habit of being self-centered. Okay. Selfish. It was all about me, my, I. There was no team. It was just me, what I want. And I was chasing celebrity. I want to be, red carpet status and all of that craziness. Not an actress or anything like that, but I'm just saying, I wanted to be better than my peers. You understand? I wanted to look better than my peers. I wanted to be better than my peers. I wanted to be the most educated. I wanted to be the most, glorious. Da 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 da. The list goes on and on. And I was very self-centered. I was egotistical. I was all of those things. That's why I'm here to talk to you today and see if I can help somebody to break the chain, if you will, because I had to get out of all of those mindsets, and they were hard. They were difficult. I'm not gonna tell you it's gonna be easy because you didn't learn those habits, within a day, and they take practice. And then once you do get to the point where you can overcome them, you still have to keep staying away, from triggers and things of that nature. So with that being said, yeah, you're gonna find a lot of people gonna walk away from you. The old friends that you thought were friends, when you start to follow the Lord, they're gonna fall away. The family members that say they love you, that say that, I'm saying, they down with you and this and that, they're gonna walk away. They're gonna talk behind your back. They're gonna treat you, any kind of way. They're gonna be mad at you for no reason at all, just because of maybe how you looked, or because you didn't do something that they thought you should do. They're gonna put all kind of false expectations on you. Oh, you the Christian, you know. So why aren't you doing XYZ for me? You know, they're gonna think that you supposed to be they little savior in the flesh. It's craziness to me. And I'm speaking from experience. But you have to be strong. And you have to keep your eye on the prize, which is God. God comes before your family. God comes before your friends. Okay. I have been blessed and lucky, to be married over a decade. Okay. And I had to learn how to talk to my spouse. I had to learn how to, um, get rid of my attitudes. I had to learn how to humble myself. I had to learn how to be quiet. I had to learn how to, show, um, my spouse, some things by my example. Okay. And that's hard. That's really hard. It's really tough, to when all your might you want to rage and rah rah. You know what I'm saying? But when you listen to God, God says don't do it that way. God says go pray for your spouse, go pray for them. Pray for those who are not doing what they're supposed to do, who are not where you are, or whatever the case may be. And I'm pretty sure my spouses have had to do the same with me. It is a work in progress. Nobody's marriage is stellar 100% of the time. No, I'm a Christian. He's a Christian, but we still have problems. Because there's a devil in this place, and you think he want our union to be jolly and happy all the time? No, he actually is angry the most, because we are both trying to get closer to God, and that's something that your whole life you will be doing, because you will be growing. The Bible is like that. The Bible will help you to grow and continue to grow. Anything there's a famous poet, this is not my saying, but there's a famous poet that says anything that isn't growing is dead. So therefore, if you're going to still be alive, you're going to be growing, changing, evolving. You're supposed to. That's why we don't stay in kindergarten. When we go through kindergarten all the way to 12th grade, we're not supposed to still be those little babies from kindergarten playing with putty. We're supposed to be able to grow and talk and use those things that we have learned into our lives, how to count, how to talk, how to write things out, how to balance money, how to be a friend, all of those things. So maturity, we're supposed to be mature. So hopefully that'll help somebody. um I also wanted to just say this, and I'm going back to the family and friend dynamic. Understand? I'm not angry with any of my family or friends or anything like that. If I am unable, to attend birthdays and holiday functions and things of that nature, it's not personal at all. I just choose to put God first. So I don't even and I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't celebrate my birthday. I don't celebrate really any of the pagan holidays at all, because that's my personal choice. I don't knock anybody else who does. I don't have a scripture against any of it, to be completely honest with you. So it's just my personal preference is not to get caught up into that, because I know my strengths and weaknesses. Yeah, you understand? And again, I'm a forever be a recovering sinner. You know what I'm saying? And so I have to stay away from a lot of triggers. So if there's going to be a gathering and I don't have control over this gathering, and there's going to be people smoking and cursing and possibly fighting and things of that nature, then miss me, because I have to protect my peace. I have to protect, my walk. I have to protect, God's image. That's why you won't, you shouldn't see Christians in the clubs and Christians in the bars and things of that nature. You shouldn't, so that'll help you to know, whether you're dealing with a Christian or not. I hope to make another video about like Christian, non-Christian, because the Bible gives us specifics on what a Christian should look like, act like, walk like, and talk like. And I'm actually gonna make a video about this. But don't be deceived by people who say that they're Christians. I don't care if it's a family member. If that family member is not walking the way that God said they're supposed to walk, if they are still cheating the government, if they're still, doing things contrary to God's will, if they're not working for the Lord, if they're not laboring in the kingdom, if they are not a part of the church, the true church, if they are talking the talk and not walking the walk, if they're still being deceived and bamboozled, by other people, if they're still being tripped up, and doing the same things that they was getting tripped up about, they have learned nothing. If they still spinning that same record, that broken record, woe is me, you're not a Christian. All of our understanding, faith, love is tied up in God. We don't depend on man, woman, children, cousin, friends, none of that. We depend solely on God and his ability in us in our abilities, the talents that he has given us. This is how we labor. We use those same talents to labor for God. God gave me a talent to be able to speak to people. So therefore, I use it to labor for God and speak to people. God gave me a talent in technology. Therefore, I use it to labor for the Lord. Some people's talents and abilities are going to be different. That's fine. I know people who are gardeners. I know people that, they're like chefs, you know what I'm saying? Like they have that cooking talent. I don't. I know people, you know what I'm saying, they're very organized. They have that talent. Whatever your talent is, it can be utilized for God's purpose. And if it's not being utilized for God's purpose, then you are doing it in vain. Because if it's just for your purpose, then that's that self-centered that I was telling you about. I've been there, done it. I ain't trying to go back. So um I think that I'm gonna wrap it right here, but I think that was all I wanted to say. Oh, one more thing I do want to say is this. I'm gonna tell you this too, because this is one of my pet peeves. So I'm gonna try to say this as loving and as kind as I possibly can. Also, if you are a Christian, then you understand that you have to be a contender and defender of the faith. Now, does that mean still keep the peace? Yes. But what else does that mean? You should be able to tell others about God, and you should have an influence to where others are understanding your stance. They should understand that you have a lot of things that are just off limits, so they can't even come to you with that. And if people are still running over you, that's because you are not a contender or a defender. I'm sure a lot of people gonna get in their feelings, but hey, I can't do nothing about that. The truth is the truth is the truth. God said the cowardly will not inherit the kingdom. The cowardly will not be led into heaven. We cannot be cowardly. We cannot be cowards at all. God said, go out and spread the gospel to every creature. If they'll hear you, give it. If they got questions, answer it. God said, be ready to give an account for the questions that they have, for the faith that you have. We can't do that if we're not well versed. We can't do that if we don't take a stance, if we don't contend for the faith and have a limit as to how much we're going to allow others to do to us. You can't be a contender and a defender, because a contender and a defender must live a transparent life, because if they don't, that's going to bring reproach to God. And that, my friend, is going back to hypocrisy. Many, many people say that they're Christians, but they're not contenders or defenders, and they're fooling themselves because they're not fooling God. God knows who is his and who is not. So, with that being said, I think that's a good place to conclude for now. But I'll be back, because I got a lot to say. I got a lot of things that may help some people not fall into a ditch. You understand? I wish, that I had some people that would just talk, just tell me, some things that you done been through. I used to love to sit around older people, because they had a lot of wisdom, a lot of, truth that they would impart. And so I would just sit there and listen, to older people. I love, to this day, I still love being around older people. So if I could be that older person, for somebody else, by all means, I am humbled and happy to do so. But if not, like I said, don't put your faith in me. Put it in the Lord. Because my faith is in the Lord only. My trust is in the Lord only. My hope is in the Lord only. It's not even in me. Trust me. I'm obedient to God 100%. Not 99 and a half, 100. So I love you. And I look forward to having a talk like this again. But until then, be blessed. And I will come back if the Lord allows it. Bye.
Blessed assurance, Jesus is mine. Oh, what a foretaste of glory divine, heir of salvation, purchase of God, born of his spirit, washed in his blood. This is my story, this is my song, praising my Savior all the day long. This is my story, this is my song, praising my Savior all the day long.